In the wake of the pandemic, the Lilly Endowment asked those of us who are addressing economic challenges facing pastors to try and understand how the pandemic has affected clergy and to address it. What we discovered was that even if a church's financial budget wasn't in crisis, that most of our pastors were experiencing burnout. With that information, the Board of Benefit Services created the Clergy Revitalization Grant Initiative, offering 3-week mini sabbaticals to over 100 RCA ministers and commissioned pastors. Here's a glimpse of the impact of that program.
In September of 2019, I sustained a TBI from a bicycle accident, and that was while wearing a helmet. And while I had time for a recovery, it wasn't necessarily restful, as I was focused on my recovery and physical therapy. I was finally released from my concussion doctor's care in February of 2020. 3 weeks later, the pandemic hit, and we all know the next season would be exhausting.
Not only did the pandemic hit like a strong wind, but over the past few years, the congregation was overwhelmed by wave after wave of hard and chaotic stressors. Significant staff departures, deaths, divorces, so much more. And so nearly 2 years ago, I found myself stranded as the part-time associate tasked with steering the course of this beloved church, and I felt like I was drowning.
And I think like so many pastors, I can say that the last few years have hands down been the hardest years of ministry that I've ever experienced. To be perfectly honest, there were several times over the last couple years where I gave strong consideration to resigning from my position.
Taking vacation or study leave over those next 2 years became a challenge because of COVID-19, whether it be travel restrictions or pandemic concerns, difficulty finding pulpit supply for a Sunday off, or troubleshooting technology remotely. Becoming disconnected and getting away had been limited and was far from restful.
I was so grateful to receive a grant, and in January of 2023, I got to experience a 3-week mini sabbatical. And I can tell you that it exceeded my expectations in terms of just the space and the kind of rest and renewal that happened in my own heart during that time.
The grant allowed me to take a time to rest, reflect, and meet with one spiritual advisor, and really enjoy myself and enjoy the time of ministry.
In the days leading up to the leave, my mental health took a deep dive. And I am still so grateful to God for the care that I received in those days from my therapist and other mental health professionals, including obtaining medication. The way God joined together the mental health care and the blessing of my consistory and family and the financial assistance from the Revitalization Grant, it seemed as though God was parting the waters, leading me through the chaos and back to steady and safe ground.
I was staying at a missionary center, and we shared stories, testimonies, difficulties, burdens, and requests, prayer requests, and we prayed for each other and helped one another's burdens and help each other in that time. So it was really renewing and refreshing to meet other missionaries all over the world.
The experiences and the interactions with so many different people were the highlights for me. This was a reminder that my call is deeply embedded and woven throughout every fiber of my being. As with many pastors, some days it's life-giving and others it's just downright exhausting. But this trip was completely life-giving, and I came back rested.
So it doesn't mean that the challenges aren't here still, and it's now been several months since I've been back from the sabbatical, and it doesn't mean that there isn't any more pain or grief that's part of this, but I do find my heart just refreshed.
Well, the impact was that I've learned to take care of my temple, my body, that is set out to serve Him and in His ministry, and learning to take it one day at a time, take it pace.
After the pandemic time, many pastors experiment some sort of tiredness, and we felt like burnout. But this particular grant allowed me to take this time off the ministry and enjoy and get connected with other pastors in other parts of the world. As a result of that, my congregation now receive a more refreshed pastor with a better ministry and allow me to continue to do the Word of God as He wants that we continue to do. So thanks a lot.
I am so overwhelmingly grateful to have a renewed energy for ministry. While the grant wasn't magic and didn't heal every part of me instantly, it was crucial for my mental, emotional, and physical health and well-being. And it was crucial for my ability to enter into ministry again.
Even though the Lilly Endowment funds dedicated to this program have been spent, Bob's has found this program to be so important that we've been able to sustain this program through at least 2025. As part of the Reformed Church in America, this is who we are.